Today we're at Twin Oaks Community in Louisa County looking at butternut squash. Twin Oaks Community is they've been in seed production, organic seed production of crops like squash for some years, and one of their primary producers of the organic seeds and of winter squash here is Edmund Frost. Edmund, when did you plant these crops?
This was planted in mid-May.
What are some of the things you have to think about in soil fertility and in management of the crop?
Well, a lot of work goes into weed control. We have an old cultivating tractor that we use to control weeds, and we also do a fair amount of hoeing. What I like about this crop is that you harvest it once and it keeps all winter. So you're not having to do multiple harvests.
So the difference between, tell us the difference between winter squash and summer squash.
Winter squash, it typically has sort of feels hard on the outside, and you harvest it in the fall, and it's called winter squash because you can eat it all winter. It keeps all winter.
What are the main varieties of winter squash that people can grow?
Well, there's butternut. This is butternut squash. Butternut is probably the best keeper, and it has a really good sweet flavor. It's probably my favorite. Acorn squash is good. Buttercup squash has a really good flavor. Not quite as good a keeper, a little bit harder to grow.
Well, Edmund, if there was a home gardener that wants to save seed from the vegetables growing in their garden, what would be involved in seed saving?
So a lot of kinds of seed saving can be pretty easy. These are some butternut squash seeds that we've saved. To save seeds from a butternut squash, you cut it open like you usually would for cooking. You scoop out the seeds, and from there it's a matter of separating the seeds from the pulp. There's various ways to do that, but for a home gardener, you could just pick through the seeds and the pulp to separate it. You can spread them out on a coarse screen and spray it with a hose. There's different ways to do it, and then you dry it.
How about how long would those seeds be viable? I know they'll come up good next year. Would they be good for a couple of years?
It depends on the species and the variety, but they're often good for several years, especially if you dry them out really well and keep them in cold storage. You can keep seeds in the freezer and you can keep them in the fridge. The important thing is to have them in an airtight container so that moisture doesn't get to them when they're in the fridge or the freezer. Just a regular canning jar works very well.
This is Andy Hankins from The Ground Up. For more information about winter squash and growing organic seed crops, contact your Cooperative Extension Office or the Virginia Association for Biological Farming or Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. We'll see you next time.